Okay, so welcome to the second session of the second week, and here we are going to discuss about the global perspectives of human resource development. And when I am talking about the global perspectives, we have to say that how HRD has evolved itself as a discipline over a period of time, across time and nations and cultures. See, if you look at the development of human resource development as a discipline, mostly it is developed in the western part of the country world, maybe UK and US, but at the same time we also have HRD activities in emerging economic like in Asia or other countries like China, India and other countries where they have developed. So, here what I want to tell you is that we have to see that in a global perspective how HRD has evolved and developed itself as a discipline. Okay. And in this process we will talk about various activities that how HRD is understood and practiced across the globe. As you know that there could be differences in the western perspective or non-western perspective because of the cultural differences, because of the social differences, because of the systems and practices that is adopted by different countries when it comes to work processes or organizations. And similarly, you will find that HRD is also different across region, across culture, across nations, and how it has developed, that is what we are going to discuss it one by one. Now, if you look at HRD from the global perspective, basically the idea is to see that how the systems and practices have been developed and have been practiced in diverse cultures, okay, across geographical locations, because the same kind of systems and practices cannot be adopted across nations or across cultures. The kind of systems and practices that have been developed in Asian countries or European countries are different what you call in European countries or say America or Canada. Say for example, if you look at Japan, the kind of systems and practices they have in the name of human resource management and development is different compared to say Germany or say China or India. So, what we are going to discuss about here is that how HRD has evolved itself as a discipline across cultures and across different geographical locations. Okay. Now, in the process we have to see that human resource development systems and practices, it varies from one country to another, one nation to another, and this cultural context and the social context is very important factor when it comes to defining or determining how HRD professions are going to work, because see HRD professionals belong to a particular nation or culture, and this nation and culture is going to influence them the way they are going to work. What I mean to say here is that how you are going to take it as work. So, if you look at India, how Indians take up as work and how Indians consider work, how Indians find meaning in the work, or how Indians value work is going to be different from how Japanese find meaning and value in the work, or how Chinese find meaning and value of the work, or how Americans find value and meaning in the work, right. I give one example to explain this factor, the role of cultural and national factors. Say for example, Indians are working maybe 6 days and 7 days sometimes, right. You are working 24/7. So, your value systems allow you or your cultural context allow you to work for longer hours and do not mind for working for longer hours, because it sometimes though it is hidden, but it becomes a part of your value system that there is no harm working in the office, working at the home also. But if you look at other countries and other cultures, they do not carry their work to home. Okay. So, they are totally segregated. So, it is they are part of the value system, which is a part of the culture. So, when it comes to human resource development, these cultural contexts are going to affect the way the people are going to work, and that is how you are going to provide meaning and value to the work. Because when you are going to design and develop an HRD program, you have to ensure that it is going to be in a particular context and situation, and this context is coming from where? The culture and the society. Okay. Because ultimately the people are going to serve to the culture and society to which they belong. So, if you are going to design and develop a program, you ensure that it is going to be meaningful for them. Now, so what you need to understand is that how HRD as a discipline has developed itself. It means we are going to see that how it has developed, how it has grown up across nations and cultures, right. So, that is what we are going to discuss here, is that we need to understand and identify major contributions which have been made by various countries and cultures in the growth and development of the people. Okay. And these theories have come from different parts of the world, and how it has come up, let us see. So, in a global context, what we can see is that yes, the context comes from where? The environment, okay. And the environment basically consists of the external environment. Now, when I am talking about external environment, it means that we are going to talk about political, economic, social, cultural factors. Okay. So, these political, economic, technical and social cultural factors vary from one culture to another culture, or one nation to another culture. Like in certain countries you have a different kind of political system, in certain countries you have a different kind of economic systems, social cultural systems are different. So, since there is a variation in political, economic, social and cultural systems of the organizations, so the kind of HRD systems that they are going to develop, it has to be in tune with these kind of systems, because the kind of challenges HRD is going to face for the organization is emanating from the political, economic and social cultural factors. So, this environment must be kept in mind, and this environment is going to be specific for a particular country or for a particular geographic region. So, when you are going to design and develop any kind of HRD program, you must keep that particular point in mind, that what kind of political, economic, social, cultural systems are operating in that particular region, geography or culture, right. Now, moving to another important part is that unless you are able to identify the political, economic systems, it is very, very difficult for you to identify the kind of systems and practices that you want to adopt for the human resource development. So, it has implications for both the practice and the profession. So, you will find that yes, there is a variation in the practice and profession around the globe, and it is basically attributed to what? The human development process. Now, this human development across nations varies, right. What I mean to say here is that if you look at the life cycle of human development, which you relate with human resource development. Okay. So, if there is a difference or variation in human development across nations, you can expect variation in HRD practices and systems, because human development is also related to HRD, because HRD contributes to human development, because you have certain indexes of human development, and these indexes of human development are related to what? Say for better quality of life, economic prosperity, and okay. So, these kind of indexes of human developments are directly linked with HRD practices and system, because HRD contribute to growth and development of the people, which provides them a better quality of life, which provides them economic prosperity, right. So, these things may be linked with each other, and that is why if you look at human development index of a particular nation, you can also see that kind of systems and practices for the growth and development of the people is followed in that particular region. So, with this context, we see that how environment is going to be very, very important factor, because this environment is going to be very, very specific in that particular context of nation or the culture. So, see HRD is also a system paralleling the other processes. What are the other processes? Say marketing processes, R&D processes, finance systems. Okay. So, they are all systems of the organization, and all these systems run together, okay, though they are coordinated and integrated by the organization to facilitate better performance. But since HRD is also a system and process like any other process in the organization, and so this process is also going to be affected by the environment, like marketing, R&D, right, finance, it is going to be affected by economic factors, technical factors. So, HRD is also going to be affected by social cultural factors, political factors, economic factors, right. Moving to the next part is, you have to see, and I have already explained it, that yes, you are considering organization as a system, where you have an input, where you process, and where you have an output. So, input is coming from various systems, then you have a transformational process for that, and then you have certain outputs. Now, you have to understand organization as a separate system. In that case, you have to see that what is the input that you are going to use in terms of input, what are the processes. Processes could be related to the delivery, and what is outcome, what is being learned by the people, right, that could be the outcome. Input could be how I have designed and developed the program, who is going to deliver, what is being delivered, right, in terms of content processes, that could be the input for an HRD system. So, if you are thinking HRD as a system, then for that you have input, you have process, and you also have output. Now, output, input and process is to be related with each other. Okay. So, input could be content, design of the program. Input could also be related to what you call people who is going to be trained. Process is how the program is being delivered, implementation, who is the trainer, and this kind of things. A system, resource and top management commitment is also a part of the system, right. And then output could be improvement in learning, knowledge, skill. Now, when we are thinking HRD as a process, so this is how we go about it. HRD process model, which could be identified as design, assessment, design and delivery, and outcome, right. Now, when we are treating this as a system and process, and then we have other processes, let us say marketing, it will also have similar systems. You also have finance, which could be another system. Now, each one of them have their own processes, but these processes are also integrated with these processes, because HRD is going to have budget from the finance, the output is going to be marketed by the organization, right. So, they need to coordinate their activities with each other. So, all these processes run together in the organization, right, and each one of them have their separate own systems and processes, and that is where you have to see that when you are looking at HRD, you have to identify the environment in which it is going to work. So, it is very important to identify the environment in which the HRD activities takes place, and the environment is coming from what you call the nation, the culture, the society, the community to which the organizations and systems belong, organization systems belong, right. Now, moving further, let us see how we are going to talk about it, right. So, in this case, if you look at the last point, okay, so each system is unique in the sense you have a marketing system, you have a HRD systems, or you have finance systems. Okay. So, and all of them are integrated with each other. So, when we are talking about say systems, processes, structure, mission, technology, and human resources, each of them are going to integrate their activities with each other. Okay. And the larger environment, which is basically culture, society, community, technology, and these kind of things, it is not that it is going to influence only HRD, but it is going to influence the political system, it is going to affect the marketing and everything. So, because you are going to work in a framework, okay, which is going to be influenced by the external environment and the internal environment. Now, when we are going to discuss about the environment, it is very important to see the kind of environment in which you are going to work. Okay. So, look at this picture. So, the environment is coming from where? The economic forces, political forces, and cultural forces. These, there could be technical forces, there could be social forces, which is not mentioned here, but they could also be a part of the environment. Now, once you have decided about the environment, it means that you are going to scan the external environment to identify the kind of environment that you have, which is going to help you to operate within the organizational framework. It means the external environment is going to decide certain things related to organization, because environment is the most important thing when it comes to deciding about or having its influence on the structure, the technology and the kind of people that you are going to have, or the kind of strategy or the goals and objectives that an organization is going to have. Why? Because see, people are coming from the external environment, your technology is also coming from the external environment. Based on the environment, you are going to decide a structure which is going to facilitate certain processes including learning. Based on the environment, you are going to decide about your strategy to remain competitive in the market, right. So, once you have scanned the environment and you have identified the kind of structure, technology and strategy that you have, so you decide about the kind of people that you require. Moving to the next stage, when you are treating HRD as a systems, so you are going to use certain inputs, you are going to process it and then you are going to have certain outputs. So, the input is basically related to the first part, that is identify the needs of the people, right. Once you have identified the needs of the people, the next stage what you do? You are going to see that how you are going to process this input to make them competent. Okay. So, you are going to implement HRD process, design and develop a program, implement it, evaluate them in terms of what they have learned. So, the learning is basically the outcome which is related to human resources, okay. And they have their influence on everything that you have in the organization, whether the kind of technology that you are going to use, and they are going to decide the kind of structure that you would like to have. They would decide what the kind of mission strategy that is required. So, ultimately it is the human resource who is going to decide how you are going to scan the environment, and based on the environmental analysis, how you are going to decide about the kind of structure, technology and strategy that you are going to use. Okay. So, the role of human resources in scanning the environment is very, very important. For example, if you look at these two lines, see they are integrated here, look at this, right. Similarly, on the other side, it means the role of human resources cannot be undermined, because it is the people who make differences when it comes to strategy, structure and technology. So, what I mean to say here is that if you look at the broader framework, within that it is the knowledge and skill of the people which make a difference in the organization, because they are going to see that how they are going to cope up with the challenges of the environment. Okay. They are going to decide based on these environmental forces what kind of a strategy is to be devised, what kind of structure is to be kept there, okay, what kind of technology is to be used, and then depending upon the requirement of the organization, the role of the HRD is to ensure that they adopt certain processes to develop the competencies of the people, so that they are able to do it. So, in that way you can link environment, organization and the HRD activities. Okay. So, from environment you move to the organization, you identify the requirement of the people, and based on the requirement you ensure the competencies of people through this systems approach process, so that you are able to develop those outcomes in terms of competencies which help them to proceed further, and that is why you will find that there is a two-way link is there, right. Moving to this, let us see that how we are going to look at global perspectives. So, there are two different approaches, one that is in the developing markets or the emerging markets, and one that is developed in the Western perspective. So, Western perspective understanding human resource development is different compared to HRD in the emerging markets. Now, if you look at the Western perspective, and the definition that comes from Nadler, that yes, the role of HRD is to ensure growth and development of the people, right. This could be a universal principle for both Western perspective, or even if you are going to adopt a non-Western perspective. But how we are going to achieve this goal, the process is going to be different, right. The process is going to be influenced by what? The social cultural factors. So, these social cultural factors are going to be important, okay, and that is where the differences appear in achieving those goals and objectives, which could be universal in nature, quote unquote, right. So, if you look at this particular point, it means that if you want to impose Western theories, practices and models in emerging market, is it viable? Now, the question is that can we impose these concepts, theories and models in emerging markets. Even if we are going to impose it, there is no guarantee or possibility that it is going to be successful. Why? Because of the differences in the national cultures, social values, ethical values. Okay. So, because of this, the Western concepts, theories and models should not be applied into the emerging markets, which has a different kind of context, and this context is coming from the economic system, the political system, the cultural system, right, the social system, right. Now, if you look at the development of human resource development in non-Western perspective, you will find that there has been growth, okay, not only in India, but other countries. Okay. There have been people who are concerned with the growth and development of their people, okay. Not though not in a very formal way, but informal way. For example, in China, in India, we have very rich tradition of learning. Okay. Like in India, we have this Gurukul Parampara, okay, which is very as old as civilization. People used to go and learn from teachers even in the jungle. So, this kind of perspective may not be useful today, but it does not mean that learning was not taking place, and they used to learn lot of skills, which was very useful for their work, since we did not have an organized industrial format at that point of time, but it does not mean that learning was not taking place. So, the context was different, and that is what I am trying to emphasize is that not necessarily that we are going to impose Western concepts, models and theories in non-Western contexts, okay. And that is why it is not important to apply Western HRD practices in non-Western regions, but you need to ensure that what kind of practices are going to be more useful in this kind of context. And then we also need to ensure that there could be differences in the HRD systems and practices in Western and non-Western systems and practices, right. What is more important is that though we are talking about differences in systems, the systems of HRD across nations, across cultures or geographies or territories, one thing that is more important is that is it possible to converse and come to a common point where it is going to be useful, whether you are working in a Western society or non-Western society. The reason is that today we are going to compete in a global economy. So, the difference between say Western or non-Western is basically narrowing down. Why? Because today, even if you look at the field of culture, the globalization has a lot of impact, right. Globalization has not only impacted economies, but it has also impacted societies and cultures, and that is where there is a need to converge and see what is good for a particular society, and whether we can adopt certain practices, though they may appear to be Western, in a different context altogether or not. So, we have to understand it from the macro regional perspective and also compare these perspectives and see what is going to be useful for us and then make use of it. Now, if you look at this, this gives you a timeline basically of human resource development, starting with the say early technological revolutions long back before 3000 BC, when people used to live in jungles and used to I mean what you call the stone age and these kind of things, where people are very using and trying to learn from certain things like using hammers of stones and these kind of things. Moving to civilization, early civilization, where they are trying to grow and develop and trying to understand certain things, to old civilization and civilizations which developed in different parts of the world, like you have Greek civilization, you have other civilizations like Indian civilization, okay, then Roman Empire, then the new order came up, then the Western systems came up, then ultimately this industrial revolution started in the late 18th century, and then there was a world war, and then you had a formal industrialization systems. See, this timeline is not that important in the sense that what happened. The basic idea of writing this timeline is to see that how people have started learning starting from the old age, or say since the beginning of the civilization to date, and see the growth and development that has happened because of that. It means it is continuously learning and upgrading the knowledge and skill base, and that is, and the outcome is that what we have today as a more modern industrial world. Now, here I am not going to emphasize on the early civilization, but I am giving two examples that has happened especially after the industrial revolution. Okay. If you look at some of the historical events and how it has impacted human resource development, you can clearly see that the moment this industrial revolution started, okay, so it provided a new way of thinking, like you went for vestibule training, where you try to actually train factory workers to work in the industry, okay, and then actually the formal training started among the workers. Then other developments takes place in the educational psychology, and it was found that okay, learning basically it needs to be devised in a way that it is should be based on attitude and abilities and interest of the people. So, when you are going to design a learning program, you should keep the learner's perspective in mind, right, so that you can I mean the learners can better learn, and this kind of idea was actually adopted in school teaching to start with, where the teacher in the teachers training system they were supposed to be trained that okay, how are going to teach children so that they are able to better comprehend it, right, and that provided a route for training even in the context of the organization. And finally, you know that certain events, historical events like this emancipation of serfing, I mean the slavery, that is also a form of slavery, okay. Then the US and Russia was there, and because these actually historical events gave rise to certain things like Marx movement, that is known as the workers movement, okay, or in the Russia and other communist part. And also if you look at the western part, you know that rise of the trade unionism in 1800 started, and this basically establishment of the working class and the labor relations of employment. And finally, if you look at the social welfare activities which was started in Germany, where organizations were supposed to take certain welfare measures, and that is where the formal industrial relations started working. Now, this was the pre-industrial relations or the first phase of the industrial relations. Now, after that, you know that lot of development has takes place. Scientific management came into existence, where people talked about time management studies, that how we can better adopt certain things in a more efficient way. And then HRT was used as essential to, because they think that okay, people need to be trained to follow certain prescribed norms and systems to perform their job. That is all. So, that they are going to be more productive. So, HRT was viewed as a way to see that people are going to be more productive by following fixed operating procedures, not deviating from that, because that was the basic concept of scientific management. Then theory of education came, okay, which was based on adult learning principles, and here emphasis was on hands on learning, okay, so that you can understand how things are done. And this and that is how this basically resulted in the growth of industrial psychology. Okay. So, you are going to apply certain principles of psychology in the context of the industry, okay. And then industry training starts, where the people were being trained at how to perform job, and then you went for certain analysis that in order to look at the impact, and then people need to learn certain new skills. If you look at the latest development, now you have computer based training and these kind of things, okay, and you have individualized personal instructions delivered over the internet. Even if this is being delivered over the internet, so you can watch and see what is happening in the field of human resource development, okay, and that is being done at a large scale, okay. That is why we call it economies of scale. So, economies of scale basically is related to what you call a mass based production system, okay. Opposite of that is economies of scope, where you are going to design and develop certain things which fulfill the requirement of a specific set of people, okay. So, both economies of scale and economies of scope developed here, and accordingly people were trained to see that how they can make use of this. Now, if you look at the historical development, yes, definitely, if you look through the ages, you will find that yes, lot of inputs have gone in to shape and craft human resource development practices in across nations. Similarly, you will also find that there are variations in HRD practices, okay, and it is related to the life cycle, and also the new economies in other countries have created opportunities and challenges for the HRD. Say for example, the new liberalization policy of the government of India imposed lot of challenges on organizations to see that how they can develop their people to face the new challenges, right. And that is all. Thank you.